Inlingua podcast live from Dessau is broadcast from Middle Deutschland and features all things languages. The show is hosted by our teachers, presenting students and guests from all walks of language learning experiences. Joining us live in the studio today is our dear friend Thomas. We've been trying to get Thomas into the studio for how many months, Thomas? Have we asked you to come in here?
I think 6 months.
6 months? And we finally drag him in. Thank goodness. Thank you for coming in and participating in our podcast.
Thanks.
So we first met Thomas
A couple of years ago.
a couple of years ago. Thomas came to us looking to improve his language skills.
Yeah.
But you already had really good language skills. So why did you come to us?
I don't think that my English skills were so good, because my English finished at my English studying. I finished my English studying at the class 10 at school.
Okay.
So after that, I had some small courses at the university and at my previous job, but I never studied English so intensive. So I found my English bad.
Okay. So when you say you studied English with us intensively, how many hours a week did you study with us?
I think that were 5 hours a day.
Okay.
So let's say 60 hours.
Was it 4 hours a day?
4 hours, I think.
20 hours a week?
20 hours a week.
For an 8-week course? And then you came back for a second course?
For a second course, another 6 weeks, and then a third time.
Did you come 3 times?
I was 3 times here. Oh. I think.
Then you're a native speaker right now.
No, not really. But I think it was more or less 2 months.
Okay.
In total.
So overall, how was your experience like learning languages with inlingua, learning English with inlingua? I mean, obviously we're still talking.
Yeah.
So
I was not expecting what happens.
Okay.
So I thought, or what I expect was that it's a strong course filling some formulas and like a lecture book and doing all units step by step. But when I first came here, I think the first days, I was surprised that it was more personal.
Okay.
So that we talked.
Okay.
A lot.
Did you think that was helpful in
Of course.
your learning process?
Of course. Because the thing I experienced by learning Spanish was that I have to get over the point and speak.
Okay.
The point was in Spanish, for example, that I was not able to speak at the first months. But
Did you have people to talk to?
No, it was at the university.
Okay.
And there was only learning vocabulary, grammar, but no speaking.
Okay.
But when I joined a course in Spanish in Santiago de Chile, I got over the point and I was able to speak.
Okay.
And that was the same here at Inlingua. Before, I never spoke English freely or only reading something and listen to some television shows. But after a couple of days here in Inlingua, I got over the point and I started talking.
Okay. Does that have to do with like being more confident? Or
yeah, confident with the teacher, so that there is a or a closer connection between the teacher and me.
Okay.
And then, the problem were the mistakes. So
you don't like to make mistakes.
I don't like to make mistakes,
Okay.
and but I had to learn that I could make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Are you a perfectionist? I think you're. I mean, I know you. Okay, we've been friends for like a couple of years now, and I think, yeah, sometimes when we've gotten into like debates, not small differences of opinions, it comes down to, it does sort of come down to like qualification, right?
Yes. So, but
So being a perfectionist, or not being, or trying to achieve that perfection, it's something that's important to you, I think.
yeah, but I don't think that I have this approach with the language.
Okay.
So because I know that I'm not the best, or I couldn't be the best. I couldn't get the best.
But you're highly functional. You're highly communicative in 3 languages.
No, 2 languages.
In 2 languages. When did you start learning Spanish?
It was in 2006. Yeah, 2006.
Okay, so why did you start learning Spanish?
Yeah, I started learning Spanish because I studied, and within the study there were a semester where we were focused on leaving the country to another country, making a practical semester, doing some practical at a company, and for that I decided. I pointed, or I turned the globus, which I had at that time,
right,
spinning around, closing the eyes, and stopping by the middle finger, or middle finger. No, that's
the index finger.
The index finger to the globus.
Is that a true story? Is that a true story?
It's a true story.
So your finger wound up on
South America.
Okay. True story. You could have gone anywhere in the world if you had chosen another point with that finger on the globe. Did it have to be a mountainous area that you had to go to?
No, but I preferred.
Okay.
Because it was South America, and then I did a course at the university in Halle in the semester holidays, but it was a course, horrible course. So I was there every day for 3 hours.
What course was it?
It was a Spanish course. A Spanish course.
So you took the course. Okay, so you spun the globe. You found out. Okay, I want to go to South America,
and the main language was.
Okay, and then you started taking Spanish lessons. But you didn't like it
because it was only like teaching a mass of people, of students, and only noting vocabulary, grammar, nothing more, not getting into the language by speaking.
There was no production.
Listening.
It was just all memorizing.
It was like reading a dictionary and a grammar book. So maybe I got some vocabulary, small vocabulary from that time. But
was the teacher a native speaker of Spanish?
I think.
Okay.
I think.
But
I couldn't remember where she came from.
Okay. What year is this? 2000.
It was in 2006.
Okay.
And it was in January 2006 where I decided, or I had to decide where I want to get for the practice semester.
Okay.
And
should we tell our audience, our listeners, what you were studying at the university? What was your degree program?
My topic was, or my subject was cartography.
What?
Cartography.
Can you say it one more time?
Cartography.
And what is cartography? I have no idea still.
It's a very special, topic at university. There are only one university in Germany where you could have studied it, and we were 10 students in our year.
Why did you choose this field of study?
Because I was not pushed to cartography by my parents, but it's a bad explanation. So I studied geography, and part of geography was cartography, and but at one point I had to decide to do human geography or physical geography, but what I wanted to do was the technical cartography and GIS things. And then I looked at the university, at the schedule of the cartography courses in Dresden, and I saw it was very structured and it sounded very good. And I decided to change the study, so I started cartography in Dresden.
Okay. So you started in Halle.
No, I started in Leipzig.
You started in Leipzig with geography. So. And then you think, okay, cartography is more interesting.
It's more interesting, yeah.
Where can I study cartography? And Dresden is the best place?
Yeah. The best place and is the only place.
Okay. So you're accepted into the program. You transfer?
I transferred.
And you moved to Dresden?
Yeah. That was in 2003.
Okay. So that's in 2003. So what are you doing in 2006 that you're spinning a globe? That's
because
associated with your program.
Yeah, because after 2 years, well, I think after 3 years of studying cartography, you have a praxis semester. That means you should search for a company where you get some practical experience.
Right.
And we were forced by our professor to leave the country, not to search for a company in Germany. So he had a long list of connections all over the globe.
That's nice.
And somewhere in Norway, somewhere in New Zealand, somewhere in Canada, and South America was also a hotspot of his work and his connections.
Okay.
And another student was also at that time in Chile. And I was the one who was searching for, I applied with my less Spanish I learned at the university for practica at the Instituto Geográfico Militare in Ecuador.
Okay. Was language, do you think a certain level of proficiency in Spanish, was that part of the guidelines for the application?
Yeah, the application, I wrote the application in Spanish.
Sweet.
But I think it was horrible Spanish.
That's okay.
So, but there was, I got an answer, but there was no, there was no possibility to make a hospitation or a practica for 3-4 months there.
Okay.
So I had no opportunity in South America until my professor asks if everybody has no practical or no connection to practical semester, or not a job, no practicum. Yeah.
Okay.
And I told him,
I don't have one.
I don't have one, and he told me that there is a guy in Chile which had a small hosteria. They called them Swiss Andina because it was a Swiss person, and he wanted a touristical map of that area where he had his hostel. And so I got the email address of him, and I asked if I could come.
There's your internship, right? Yeah.
That was in August 2006.
Okay.
And
How old are you at this time in 2006?
I was 26.
Okay. Cool.
So then we got in contact with a Swiss guy, and I organized everything. I booked a fly to South America, and I was leaving my flat. I put all the things in the car and put it in a storage, and then I packed my backpack, and I took the flight to South America.
And did you say adios to your parents?
At that time, the communication process was not as easy as it is today, because I only had a small telephone I think only SMS was the only way to connect us or stay in connection. And when I was there, it was in the mountain area, and there was no internet connection. So the only way to check the emails was over a small GPRS connection over the handy of the Chilean or the Swiss guy.
That's funny.
So
this guy has a hostel.
A hostel, yeah.
Somewhere in Chile.
In a very beautiful area.
He wants you to map the region so he can make brochures for his guests to go on hiking trails and stuff like that?
Yeah, there was another company which provide a lot of touristical hiking maps in Chile. And so there was a map series, there is a map series of hiking maps in Chile. And to cover the whole country, there were some cartographers.
Okay.
And one cartographer was I've been one of these cartographers, and for me, that region was my map.
So how should we do it? Square kilometers? For our listeners, like how much area did you have to map out? Are we talking thousands of square kilometers?
It was 60 by 100 kilometers. That was the area.
Okay, 60 by 100 kilometers.
So, but that was part of the process to develop a map. Because I said to the guy, I need a GPS and I need some topographical maps.
Okay.
Because at that time, it was not possible to get digital data of that area.
Okay.
So
does that mean you're walking?
I was walking through the
and
landscape.
Collecting data points as you go from point A to point B?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Interest is the touristical infrastructure.
Okay.
So I decided what area we could map.
Okay.
Or which area we could map.
What kind of, what is the word? How do you determine what you can map? What are some of the that's what I was looking for, variables. What kind of variables come into your mind when you say, okay, what can I map out of this area?
There are some variables. The first is what do you want to show in the map?
Okay.
What do you show? Would you show the hiking trails in detail? So if there every 200 meter is a very interesting point, then the map scale should be big. That means you need a bigger sheet of paper for the same area.
Okay.
If there are less information or less interesting things, or the interesting things are far away from each other, then you need a smaller scale, map scale.
Okay.
And we decided it's untypical. We decided to make a map in the scale of 1 to 100,000.
Okay.
That's untypical for touristical maps, for hiking maps. Normally, a hiking map has a scale from 1 to 50,000.
Okay.
But in that area, it's beautiful area, but the interesting points are far away.
Okay.
But we want to cover all the things you could reach by car and then hiking. So the idea was not to have a hiking trail through the whole map or through the whole area. So you have to drive by car to a specific point, and then you have small hiking tours.
Okay.
To do.
So a point of interest might be a waterfall?
A waterfall, volcanoes, rivers, national parks.
Okay. Forests?
Forests, of course.
Like, what about scenic views, like hiking up to a point where you can look over?
Yes.
Okay.
The area is covered by a lot of volcanoes, old volcanoes.
Like, Chile is a very...
The elevation is high.
Long and narrow, right?
Long and narrow, yeah.
What is the highest elevation?
The highest elevation. The highest point was the volcano Yaima.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 3,200 and a little bit more meters.
3,200 meters. Okay, so that's well over 12,000 feet.
Yeah, and I was on the bottom of a volcano. There was the hostel, and this volcano was called Lonki Mai, and it was about 2,700 meters.
Was it an active volcano?
The last eruption was in 1980.
Okay, so very active.
But it was a volcano, an eruption at the side of the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And there
came out of the side, not at the top.
Not on the top. So the top was safe, but it came out at the side.
Interesting.
And it was called Crater Navidad.
Okay.
And that was the interesting part because the topographic maps were built before the eruption, but the reality was different.
Okay.
So I had to digitalize the topographic maps, and then I had to combine it with modern radar data, elevation data.
Okay.
So,
do you have equipment that does that? How do you get that type of data?
you can download it.
Okay.
You can download it. The data, the elevation. It's a satellite SRTM radar mission. Was that at that time with a resolution of I think 30 or 60 meters.
Okay.
So every 60 meters were in different elevation point.
Okay. But when you say you have a GPS, it's a handheld GPS.
It's a small a Garmin e-Trex Vista.
So you know exactly where you are, the longitude and the latitude of where you're doing point.
Yes,
okay.
And then you, over the exchange format, you can bring it to the computer, and then you have the position. But you also have to put up some notes.
Mm-hmm.
So I noted the points where I was, and at the end I had a list to say, okay, point 1, point 2. That was the cruise of a river, or there was a bridge, or a door, or an information point. Or
okay. How long was the internship for?
It was 2 months.
Okay.
2 months in that area.
Uh-huh.
But I had 5 months in Chile in total.
Okay.
So I had 3 months free.
Right.
To traveling.
Of course you did, Thomas.
And what I did after I was there at collecting the data, I took a course, or I made a course, a Spanish course in the capital. So it was also a language school.
Mm-hmm.
I booked the course for 3 weeks with living in a host family.
Okay.
Or guest family, host family?
Host family?
Host family.
That's a good idea.
So,
because you got to speak.
Yeah, of course.
If you want to communicate.
Before, I couldn't speak Spanish.
Okay.
Maybe
you had vocabulary.
I had vocabulary a little bit, but
you knew how to conjugate some of the verbs. Some of the verbs you knew how to conjugate. Like I work, he works, they work, we work.
I'm not sure if I could declinate or conjugate at that time.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So you had vocabulary from your class in Halle.
But
You forgot everything.
not everything, but when I collect the data, when I was collecting the data, I tried to speak or to communicate with other people in that area.
Okay, good.
But the Spanish in that area was influenced by the origin of their people. It was Mapugen, like the original language,
Okay.
and that was mixed with Spanish. So that was hard to understand. So it was hard to understand the words.
Okay. Different dialects, different accents, yeah.
But in Santiago, it was not easy because between 9 and 12 we had a group course. I think we were 6 or 7 students, but the course was English Spanish, not German Spanish, English Spanish. So all explanation they did in Spanish and in English.
Okay.
So I had to learn both. But the one-to-one classes in the evening, they were better for me.
Okay.
Because then I got over the point and I learned to speak.
So your shyness leaves.
Yeah.
Your anxiety of that speaking.
And and that I had to speak in the guest family or the host family.
Yeah.
That was also.
Was the living host family experience, was that a good experience?
Of course.
That's good.
So.
Do you still keep in contact with them today?
No.
Okay, so it was an okay experience. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, no. Experience was great.
I like it when people stay in contact, you know.
Yeah, but because there was no, now good 2006, 2007, there was still a communication platform.
You can still find that house today if you went back, right?
Yeah, I can locate it on the satellite image.
Yeah, of course.
But the experience was, for me, that I confident myself that I could learn another language.
Right.
Before, I thought that I couldn't learn a language other than German.
Ah.
So, but the lesson I learned there was that with the right setup, like living for a couple of weeks in a host family,
Right.
and having these classes 1-on-1 and in a small group, I was able to learn.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a person who could learn vocabulary by typing or learning it from the book.
Right.
So it's like going
using the language. Yeah.
into the head and going out on the other side.
Okay.
But when I learn a language with somebody else, like in the course or in the family, then it's easier for me. And that was experience, and the same experience I had here at inlingua.
Okay.
When I started the course.
Good.
Because I haven't lived in a guest family, but because it was
you might as well. I mean, you were 4 hours a day, dude.
It was like.
And we saw each other on the weekends. We did bike tours.
Yeah.
Oh, we did some bike riding trips. 2 months for the cartography, like internship, 1 month in the capital for language learning, and then you had at least 2 more months to go out, more exploration, hiking, and using the language now more with confidence and speaking to people along the way.
In Spanish.
Super.
And I decided to travel from the north to the south of Chile. So it was a journey of 4,500 kilometers. So we took the local buses from hotspot to hotspot. Hotspot means touristical hotspot. And flying back.
Okay. Was that your first big trip?
It was the only big trip, or it was the biggest trip in my life.
Up until that point.
Yeah. No, until today.
Okay.
Because 5 months in another country,
Okay.
at the opposite side of the world,
Yeah.
being far away from my home,
Mm-hmm.
that was an interesting experience and very intensive.
Mm-hmm. When you got on the plane to come back to Germany, because you had to finish your education, you had to finish your degree program, did you think maybe one day I'll end up back here? Was that 5-month experience? Was it that meaningful to pull you back to South America for the rest of your life?
Not for the rest of my life.
Okay.
But I was sure, and I'm still sure, that I will be back in South America one day.
Okay. For an extended period of time.
Yeah. Minimum 3 months.
Okay. Either for work or a project,
Yeah, a project.
or whatever
Or
you
like
want
holidays.
to do. Okay.
For holidays.
Okay.
Having a 3 months off time,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe cycling through Argentina.
Okay. Yeah.
Or I'm not sure if I would visit Chile again,
Okay.
because I think it's better to store these very good experience in my mind,
Sure.
and not to destroy it when being there again
Okay.
at the same places, for example.
Okay.
And because I saw a lot of Chile,
Mm-hmm.
from the north to the south, the Altiplano, the glacier in the south, the volcanoes in the middle, the capital,
Okay.
Valparaiso. So I think I would go to Argentina or Peru,
Okay.
or maybe to Ecuador
Okay.
for another experience.
Okay. For another experience.
Yeah.
So you returned to Dresden.
And then the work began.
You graduated.
No, before graduating, I had to make the map.
Ah.
Because normally at
Uh-huh.
the practice semester, you do everything, like planning the work, doing the field work, and producing the map.
Okay.
But it was not a company, a cartography company, related company. It was
Right.
like a private
Businessman.
businessman.
Yeah.
In Chile, I only did the field work.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I had to combine the map in Germany.
Okay.
And that was, I had no experience in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a step-by-step, learning by doing.
Okay.
But then my professor offered me a student job, producing 2 maps for the German Alpine Club.
Okay.
And so I started producing touristical maps at the university.
Did you teach yourself the software?
Of course,
Okay.
the software, and
That's not part of the curriculum.
this was a special software, so I teach myself.
Okay. Because you need to put the data points into the software, and that's all printed out on the map.
If it
I mean, I'm being...
Have-
I know it's not... I know it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But, like, you know... I'm not trying to, like, yeah.
we have to think in layers.
Mhm.
So we have
Okay.
different things in a topographical map, starting with the elevation model and the counterlines.
Right.
Then you have the streams and the lakes.
Okay.
Then you have the street as infrastructure,
Mhm.
streets, ways, bicycle ways, walking, hiking trails,
Right.
and the settlements,
Mm-hmm.
the vegetation,
Mm-hmm.
the land coverage. And then on top you have the
Map font. Does that make any sense? We are using our Google Translate at the moment to find out the translation for Kartenschrift. Ooh, that pronunciation was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kartenschrift.
There's a special dictionary for cartographers.
Okay, I don't have that on my phone.
That's only available in at a book,
Okay.
in an antiquariat. There is all the language all the typical words in cartography translated in, I think, 7 languages.
Okay. But it's in book form.
It's in book form, yeah.
Okay. Maybe you could turn it into smartphone application form. Could be a good project for you.
Maybe. So it's like the description.
Mm-hmm.
The description of the things in the map, like what is the name of the city,
Okay.
the name of the river.
Okay.
So we have to place the names.
The labels?
Labels, yeah, labels.
We could say labels.
It's a term of the...
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay.
Map labels.
Okay. Map
for
labels.
example. Or, yeah, label. You label a feature class
Mhm.
on a map. Yeah, to place the names on the map, that was also a typical part, or is a typical part of a work of cartographers.
Okay. So did you finish the Chile map before the 2 maps that your professor asked you to do, or did you do them all together?
I finished the job was, the 2 maps for the German Alpine Club I finished first.
Okay.
And then I started, I think it should be 1.5 years after my visit in Chile, I started really hard working on that map.
Okay.
And so, for example, I had to place 900 elevation numbers on the map in a correct way.
Okay.
And that took me 1 day, for example.
Okay.
So 8 hours work. And the processing of the data and was... I had to correct a lot of topological errors in the data to produce a hill shading.
Okay.
The hill shading helps to understand how the landscape are. Where are the highest point? Where is the lowest points? Where are deep valleys, for example? Without these hill shading, you had to interpret the counterlines.
Okay.
So if the counterlines are closer together, the landscape is steeper.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's hard. You have to be trained to get the image of the landscape only by counterlines.
Okay.
And the hill shading helps to understand it on a first view.
Okay.
So you look once to the map and you see, oh, there are nice mountains in that area.
Accident or fire?
Police,
Police. Yeah, accident.
maybe.
Chasing somebody down.
So I think it took me 1 year to produce the map, but not 1 year, the whole year. Only, I studied. I
Okay.
had some.
So when you finished that map, you sent it to the Swiss guy.
To the Swiss guy.
In what? How large of a document?
It was a PDF document.
Okay. Okay.
And it was, I think, 300 megabytes at that time.
Okay. So
I sent it to them
he
and
printed it out. He put it on the wall for the tourists or hikers to see, like, for them to navigate the landscape more safely with more knowledge.
no, it was they sold the map.
They sold the map.
They sold the map.
Okay, so they profited off of your hard work
Of course.
Did you get a percentage of that?
No.
Okay.
But I got...
but it took you 3 years to do, so that's okay.
I got...
You got credit. You got acknowledgement.
from my professor from the university.
I mean, dude, that sounds like a thesis. Was that?
It was part of
Okay.
the first thesis.
That's a huge project.
And I benefited in a way that I got the accommodation and the food at the 2 months in Chile, for example. So that was
For free.
for free.
That
Yeah.
was
I
part
was there
of
for free, and that was the part of the
Okay.
Chilean guy or the Swiss guy.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like I had I had a certificate that I did the practical part
Right.
of the study, and then it was part of my thesis.
Okay. Does that experience open you up to your travel bugness that you have? I mean, were you...
Opened me in a way that I was not only focusing on cycling.
Mhm.
Before, I was only focusing on cycling in Scandinavia, for example. That
Okay.
was my pleasure. Or
Okay.
But that opens me another possibility for hiking, doing something on my own.
Mm-hmm. Camping?
Of course, camping is a fundamental part of my holiday every year. When I walk through the mountains in Norway or in Scandinavia, in Sweden, for example, or in Ireland, camping, all the way I camp.
Okay. So I think this leads us into a good conversation. So Thomas is about to embark on another big challenge. I wouldn't call it a vacation.
So that's the plan, 1,400 kilometers along the Danube,
Mm-hmm.
passing Passau, Vienna, Budapest to the south of Hungary.
Okay.
So
And you're going to hook up with a friend, take a couple days off, hopefully go into a sauna. And then you're going to get right back up and come back a different route.
Yeah, not the same
Right.
way.
So Thomas is planning on how many kilometers per day are you planning on riding?
The average should be 150 kilometers per day.
Okay.
That's
Now,
the planning. But the goal is, the personal physical goal is to have some days traveling 180
okay,
kilometers.
depending on the weather. Now, this is exactly what you just said. Have you done this before? I mean, I know you've done a bike tour before, but have you done this before?
I did smaller ones before. Last year I did, for example, a 3-day tour, 450 kilometers along the Rhine River.
Okay.
So that was my first experience, cycling more than 150 kilometers a day.
Okay.
And
Consecutively.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so now I'm planning 10 days, each day 150 kilometers. So
And just what you said like 5 minutes ago, is this the physical challenge
that's a physical
that
challenge.
you set for yourself?
Because I don't know if I could reach
Right.
that. I hope, because of my past experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, so I'm not under pressure directly, so I have some days more. I could, if I'm physically not at that point, maybe I will finish after 120 kilometers a day.
What's the best time of the day for you to... when do you like to start? Do you like to start before 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock? Like, how long does it take
For
you?
that tour,
Yeah.
I have no choice. I had to start early in the morning when the sun, I had to wake up and to stand up when the sun is rising.
Uh-huh.
And I had to be at the campsite at, let's say, 6:30, because then the sun goes down.
Right.
So
But for this tour,
for this tour, but yeah,
how long is it going to take you to How long have you calculated? Because, of course, Thomas is huge on calculations. How long have you calculated each day? Your 150 to 180 kilometers will take you to ride.
Mm-hmm.
6 hours, 8 hours?
My average speed should be around 23 up to 24 kilometers an hour. So
Okay.
with some lunch break and breaks, other breaks, let's say orientation breaks, where you have to orientate, is it the right way I'm driving? I think that should be 8 hours, 9 hours a day traveling time.
Okay.
So
That's a lot. Don't you think that's a lot?
no, that's not a
Okay.
lot. That's okay. Being in a saddle for 8 hours or 9 hours a day, it's okay.
How many pairs of bike shorts are you taking?
2.
How thick is the foam in your...
I'm not sure. I think maybe 5 millimeters or 8 millimeters.
But your plan is to ride 8 to 9 hours a day.
With breaks.
With breaks. You got your campsites sort of spotted out.
Before, yes.
Okay. Food-wise, lots of carbs, pasta, rice.
At the evening, for example.
Are you your breakfast? Is it a protein bar? Is it a brötchen from a bakery? You know, are you
Muesli.
Muesli. Okay.
Self-prepared muesli.
Okay, so some fiber. Okay. Are you drinking coffee in the morning before you take off?
Of course.
Okay. So you got a little camping stove.
I have a camping stove. I have a tent. I have a sleeping bag. I have everything with me.
But coffee is important.
Coffee is important, of course.
Okay. How much water will you carry?
It depends on the weather, but I need 5 to 6 liters a day.
Okay.
Drinking water.
Are you taking iodine tablets in case you need to, like, you get water from the river or water from a stream? Are you taking anything for distillation?
That's new on my next, on this tour. I bought a lifesaver water bottle.
So it automatically filters.
Yeah.
If you're pumping from a stream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
It's the way, or it's heavy, not heavy in a way, but if you think you have to reduce the weight of your equipment, then it's heavy to take with you. But I have 2 bottles of water, each 1 liter. And then I have these, I think, 700, 800 gram lifesaver bottle.
Okay.
Which is a pump,
Okay.
a microfilter.
Yeah.
And
Just in case you take it from the
and
stream.
because I'm cycling along the river, I be sure that I have access to water,
Yeah,
not clean water, but with this bottle I had clean water in my bottle.
What kind of fuel does your stove use?
It's with gas.
Okay.
It's gas. I will be glad to see the mountains.
Sure.
Or the Danube, part of the Danube before Vienna, the Wachau.
Okay.
So I remember it's a nice region, and cycling through that region, I think that would be the optical highlight.
Okay.
Of the tour.
You're not going near the Dolomites on this tour, right? That's more further south.
No, Dolomites not, no. On the way back, but I'm not getting through that area.
Okay.
So I'm more in the eastern part of the Alps.
Okay.
Or northeastern part of the Alps.
Okay.
And but the elevation is also high.
Yeah.
So maybe I will try cycling through a pass, which is 1,500 meter high.
Okay. That's high.
And but I never did it before.
Okay.
So that's another challenge at that tour. But if I think that I couldn't reach the pass, then I will use another way, or I will take another way around the Alps,
Okay.
more getting closer to Vienna and going back to the Danube River.
Yeah, so I was going to say to the listeners, like Jansu and I, we did the Passu Vienna tour. We did a tour, 8 days, I think 8 days. So Thomas will be on that tour. We'll take him 2 days. And we had 8 days of 40 kilometers and 50 kilometers and 60 kilometers per day.
Then you have enough time to visit all the touristical highlights. Like
so Thomas will
Claude
drive.
Lake.
We spent 8 days. Thomas will do that in 2 days.
Yeah, but
I love it, man. That's cool. I love it. I sincerely hope that you come back with like no body. I think your body's gonna ache. Of course, it's gonna ache. But I hope you don't come back with like, oh, I messed up my knee is shot for 6 months or something like that.
I don't think so.
No, I think you'll be fine.
But I did the tour Passau Vienna 25 years ago
Yeah.
with my grandparents,
Okay.
and we also did it in 8 or 10 days,
Okay.
visiting a lot of things,
Yeah.
or having some additional loops.
Mm-hmm.
So
See, you did that with your grandparents. That's cool. 25 years ago.
yeah,
So this is in your family, like,
Cycling, of
history. Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Okay. Because I know you biked all over this world.
It was the cheapest way to have holidays at students.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. We'll finish up real quick. What's your budget for this trip? You're gone 10. How many days are you gone?
I will go
Like 20 days, 3 weeks?
more than 3 weeks. I think
Okay.
25 days.
Okay, 25 days, cycling thousands of kilometers, camping. How much have you budgeted for this trip? How much money will you spend?
The traveling costs are around.
Let's say without the train ticket, because
Without the train ticket,
train
okay.
ticket is probably the most expensive.
100.
Okay.
Both directions, 100 euros.
Okay.
I think with food,
Mm-hmm.
it should be 20 euros a day,
Okay.
not more,
Okay.
because I think over for every night I need 10 euros, 10, 12 euros for the campsite, and 10 days
Okay.
for some.
So campsite, you have access to the water. Okay, but I'm thinking also because I think you will do some camping, in the wilderness camping.
Of course.
Because and not just because maybe the goals that you set for yourselves, maybe the weather conditions sort of hamper that. So you're going to push harder the next day and go and try to make up that time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It depends. There were not overall campsites, official campsites, so I had to stay. I think if it get dark, I had to stop and I had to pitch up my tent.
Well, I mean, you have lights on your bike, right? So are you willing to make up a day and, ride from 10 o'clock in the evening until 6 o'clock in the morning? Is that something that you would consider if you had to?
I did it once
Okay.
on Rügen.
Okay.
We got there by train or by the ferry. Arrives at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and at 6 o'clock or at 7 o'clock started the train from the mainland.
Okay.
We decided to cycle through the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experience, but today I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
So it's easier to stop and
Rest.
rest and pitch up the tent, because your body or my body needs a break.
Okay.
So I need my 8-9 hours sleeping
Okay.
because of the physical challenge,
Yeah.
and it makes no sense to cycle through the night.
Okay.
But if I would cycle in Norway in the summer. Why not cycling over the night? Because it's
Yeah.
there's no
When it's always light. Yeah.
you can. That would be another challenge to train the body, if it's possible, to flip day and night.
Ah. Okay, I can see that could be the next challenge. Dude, thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
I
It was
hope
nice.
that you're well, I'll be texting you in the next couple days just to see, like,
And I will send you a picture
Yeah.
from the main points of the journey, the entrance of your tour and the finish of your tour.
No, pass out.
And then you see in the time step how many days.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
10 days is which I should reach.
Mm.
And the challenge is to do it in 9 days. That
days.
means around 165 kilometers a day in average.
Okay.
So maybe one day 140, the other day 180, depending on the weather and the rain.
Well, I think, like, when you get back, we'll do like a 10-minute podcast. just to tell our listeners that you made it back safely.
Okay.
And if you reached your goals, okay?
Okay,
So will you come back for like a 10-minute or a 15-minute?
No problem.
Okay.
We can do it.
All right, Thomas. Thank you so much, brother. And safe travels. Best of luck. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
And I will text you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, cool. Thank you for listening to Inlingua Podcast, live from Dessau. We hope you stay tuned for more episodes.